Welcome to the Pulpit and Porch. I'm Tony Marr, and with me as always is my friend Robert Kell.
Hey everybody, we are so glad you're here. The Pulpit and Porch is where we kick back, put up our feet, and have real conversations about life, faith, growth, and maybe even a little sports and pop culture.
If you're looking for a perfectly polished sermon, you're probably in the wrong place.
Yeah, around here, it's more about those honest, heart-to-heart conversations, like the one you have on a front porch with good friends. Sometimes we stay on track, sometimes we take the scenic route.
And honestly, that's half the fun, isn't it? We dig into the highs, the lows, and all the in-betweens of living out your faith in real life. Along the way, we may pull up a few extra chairs and invite some friends onto the porch to share stories and ideas that just may change the way that you see things.
So whether you're chasing your purpose, building your faith, or just trying to live a little more fully, pull up a chair, grab some sweet tea, and join us. This is the Pulpit and Porch. We got a seat waiting for you. Hey, we are back for episode 2 with Andrew. And, you know, guys, you finished the last episode and you talked about not wanting to leave people on a big, heavy cliffhanger, and you referenced the worst sitcom in the history of television, and saying you had to wait a whole summer.
You just ruined the credibility of our entire show.
Or maybe I've enhanced it. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I do know I'm on the I'm not a monstrous Seinfeld fan either. And so
I'm not a huge Seinfeld fan.
And so I know I'm on the opposite end of most people's opinions of The Office and Seinfeld and things like that. But anyway, we had one thing that we said we were going to look up. And I'm sure that no one...
Actually, you said you were going to look
up.
There was no we in this.
You said you wanted to know, and we said we wanted to know, and I looked it up. But then, you know, just in case people have not had the internet for a week where they live, and now somehow they're listening to a podcast on the internet, we left them on a cliffhanger for a week of who the Seahawks quarterback is.
Matt Barkley.
You are still wrong a week later.
And still not Geno Smith again?
No.
Not okay.
He is not back.
Okay, all right.
I just refreshed. He is not back. He's not back on the team. And so the one that I could not think of that was the Vikings quarterback that will more than likely be the starter
Brett
this year
Favre.
is Sam Darnold.
Sammy Darnold, the pride of Riverside, California.
The backup more than likely will be Drew Lock, and their third string will be Jalen Milroe. Their draft pick from this
Drew Lock, who came over in the trade with the Broncos for Let's Ride Russell Wilson.
Let's ride. Go Broncos.
That worked out well for everyone involved.
Oh my God.
It worked out really well for Seattle. I mean, we got like 18 draft picks and didn't have to pay that salary.
So I was watching some event the other day. It might have been the World Football Classic. Brody and I were watching the finals between Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain. And I just was sitting there, and Russell and his wife were at that, and they like put the camera on them, and the cameraman just sat there we talked about the days are long, years are short. Like it felt like 1,000 years that camera just sat on him and his wife. And the announcers never one time went, lots of celebrities here today. We've got Russell Wilson, and his wife's a big music star.
Sierra,
something like that. And I'm going, they never once addressed him as being in the crowd. And I thought, that is a sad state that Russell has dropped to that point. And because he is a good dude. And
played minor league baseball for the Asheville Tourists.
He did. And I mean, he's incredibly talented. I hope his career. Where's he at now?
Is he?
I don't
know. He was Pittsburgh last year, and they didn't re-sign him.
Did he go to the Jets?
Did he go to the Jets?
I think he did. And
I think you may be right on that.
You have to go there.
All right, so we are back again.
I'm not going to let you take and jump out of this until we know where he is, and I don't even know. It's kind of hard to read. New York Giants, sorry.
Giants.
Yeah.
The better of the New York teams, probably.
Yeah, sure.
So Dallas Mavericks watch him twice this year. That's good. It's good to hear.
Since Eli
projects
left.
well for you guys, at least you get 2 wins.
There's 2.
Since Eli left, retired, I think the Giants and the Jets are pretty right there.
So we do have Andrew Carrier back in studio with us again this week. Andrew, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come join us again. I do want to say really quick, because it was well established last episode and again this episode that there are two people in this room that are intelligent and have good taste. And of course, I'm not referring to the two Dallas Cowboys fans sitting across from me. I'm referring to myself and Andrew, who are fans of The Office and see it as quite possibly the greatest American sitcom ever made, maybe behind Cheers. But you've made it abundantly clear that you don't like the show. But I want to hear from Andrew, because anytime that I talk about The Office, you follow up with
Park and Rec?
No.
Friends?
No, the one that I've never seen.
Oh, Ted Lasso?
Ted Lasso. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you a Ted Lasso fan?
Never seen it.
Oh, see, man, we are kindred spirits here. Now, I will say that I haven't.
Sorry, I was thinking inside of the same 30-minute sitcom, not in a like drama.
Is it? Oh, I thought it was a 30-minute comedy.
It varies. I mean, it runs, 38 to 52 minutes, depending upon the episode.
Okay. Now, I will say, in fairness,
excuse me,
my lack of appreciation for Ted Lasso is not because I've seen it and don't appreciate the artistic beauty in the show. It is because I don't have Apple TV and have never had the opportunity to watch it.
And my struggle with The Office, and it like there's nothing that infuriates me more. Like I'm literally right now working through 3 podcasts that are probably an hour and a half on average.
Hold on, because I'm so excited to hear what you're about to say, because you just said, you heard him. He said nothing infuriates him more than what he's about to say. So world genocide,
it doesn't.
People going to hell. I can't wait to see what you're about to say here. That doesn't infuriate you more.
Nothing infuriates me more. And I'm listening to like 3 podcasts. I'm working through them on the new Superman movie. And so I love the deep dive in. I mean, I'm listening to people from like a Christian perspective talk about the film, listening to people who are just film reviewers. I mean, I'm deep into this. And every time that I watch The Office, I'm like, I'm going to start at episode 1. People go, you can't do that. I'm like, why can't I do that? You got to start at like either like episode 18 or just go on to season 2 and skip 1. Like, why? And they're like,
well, there are only 6 episodes in season 1.
Okay, whatever it is. And they say then it's terrible because I've watched them all and they're all horrendous. And they're like, just go to season 2. And I'm like, why? And they're like, season 1's not good. I said, if you are starting a brand new show that is going to go down as you guys say, the greatest comedy in the history of the world, and you cannot hook me in the first 30 seconds, there is not a chance I'm giving you
and
6
I
episodes.
disagree with that. I don't know who you've talked to, but they're not true Office fans, if that was their thing. Now, episode 1 is a scene-for-scene remake of episode 1 of the original British Office with Ricky Gervais. And so that, which is one of the highest-rated shows in BBC history, I've tried to watch the British Office and have had a hard time getting into it. I don't know if you've watched it.
I can't do it
but
because I was so invested in the U.S. version that I couldn't.
Episode 1 is a word for word, scene for scene remake of episode 1 of that. Then after that, they completely break from it. But season 1 has some of the greatest episodes. Diversity Day.
That's the first one that's popping in my head is the sticky notes on the head.
Cookie. But it is it's great.
I
But
also
yes,
think
it does.
about
Steve Carell's character changes drastically after season 1.
I also think that it's
His
interesting. Go ahead. No, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Andrew. No.
His character changes the entire time. I think that's the most
Yeah.
advanced on there, that if you really watch it, he really changes the entire path all the way through.
That I will agree with. Just from the reels and things that I've seen, I'm going, man, like people will put like, oh, here's a reel and this is from season 3, this is from season, and you just bounce through and you can almost even from the beginning of a season to the end of the season, see his character and just the way he approaches things in the character look a little different. And I'm just seeing that from 30-second reels that I watch of The Office that'll pop up or something like that. But yeah, the show
He's
itself,
watching reels. He's getting close.
Oh no,
he's going to get hooked.
And the thing, if Tony would tell you, is that I'm literally watching the Cosby Show right now, and I'm working through and like this is part of my life and part of like things for me that I just function through. I like to look at culture. I'm looking back to some things inside of just how that show came together, how the parents worked, how the family unit worked, and I'm just thinking through how that's evolved in culture and how has film, TV, media impacted that trend. So anyway, I spend weird amounts of time in deep thought on things that most people do not care about. But in that space, I do listen, and I will probably try and give it another run. And my boys would love that, at least the older two. I'm not sure Colby ever really cared about The Office. He's more of a psych kid, which I'm totally down for. I love that show. But
now I will say that once Steve Carell left the show, I thought that it went downhill.
It struggled pretty bad.
It still had some redeeming qualities from it. I still watch it, enjoy it, but it's not nearly as good with Steve Carell gone until the final episode. The final episode is wonderful.
Really, season 9 in general, I felt like the final season, I felt like they kind of pulled it all back together, and all of a sudden you're like reinvested into it. But that the Will Ferrell stint as the manager and the Robert California episodes, I'm good.
So, and so see, I don't really know anything about all that. I knew Carell left the show, and I think that's interesting. And that would be not a conversation for now, but hey, maybe we do one and you come back in and we talk about this kind of stuff for ever how long, and it'll be the last episode we ever do probably, because nobody would care. But how many shows can really survive? Like, I think regardless of how many people are in there that are huge stars now, maybe they weren't when they started, but this catapulted them. I think about Krasinski and some of them who have come and just exploded in their careers. How many of them, even though they were good at their role, Steve was still the lead guy. I mean, he was the center focus of the show. And like, how many shows? I mean, could Cheers survive Ted Danson leaving?
No, I mean, you look at ER didn't survive when
Without
George Clooney left. CSI didn't survive when the original Vegas CSI didn't survive when the main guy
William Peterson, I think is his name. Yeah,
left. Yeah, I think that's a great.
I mean, it's just an interesting thing, and they pulled out all the stops. I mean, if they pulled in guys like Will Ferrell and stuff like that to try and make this thing go, like they went after people that the world tends to think are pretty funny. I love Elf. No, I mean, there's things I don't necessarily care about. I don't, I mean, it's just, he's not always my favorite actor. It's very kind of all yes or all no with his films.
But you absolutely loved his Christmas musical that he did with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, yeah, that was great. Scrooge was fantastic.
Spirited,
sorry.
Scrooge
it was about Scrooge.
Yeah, that was horrible.
That
was awful.
You didn't like Spirited?
No, I didn't like it at all.
I thought it was great.
I don't love musicals.
Oh, I love musicals. I'm a big fan. So our VBS this week is, we do not call things VBS, Kids Camp. I can't believe I said that. We always call Camp Amp, and now we're doing Kids Camp, and it's kind of weird for me, but it's basically VBS. But our Kids Camp is a big top theme, and we've had lots of Greatest Showmen, and had a cool kid that he'd be a fun guest sometime. A 15-year-old kid that just got back from Stage Door Manor and went up and did 3 weeks at this super elite theater camp in New York, and he got to perform "Come From Away," which is an incredible musical and number that kind of wrapped around some 9/11 events in 9/11, and so I'm a huge musical fan, love all that stuff, and there you go.
Nothing infuriates Robert Kell more than fans of The Office saying, "Don't start with season 1, start
episode
with season
1."
2.
No, because it's terrible. It's terrible. Don't watch that. It's terrible. And I'm going, you've lost your mind. If you think the greatest show ever created has terrible, like, space, like, I don't know.
You know what really infuriates me?
This, our wives hate this part of our show.
Yeah.
Like, apparently there's a whole episode we need to remove off of the podcast because they say
because we're a bunch of curmudgeons.
Just curmudgeon,
did
grumpy
we ever figure out what the plural of curmudgeon is?
No, we did not. I've never looked at
curmudgeoners. Curmudgeonies. What were curmudgeons?
Yeah, is it geeses? Gooses?
Man, now
teeth.
This is going to infuriate some of our diehard Christians that listen to this show, because you can't badmouth what I'm about to badmouth. If you're a Christian.
I did not offend Christianity at its core.
Well, what I'm about to say may offend Christianity as a whole. Is one of the things that infuriates me most is the inconsistency in the Chick-fil-A chicken sandwich. That one time you can go through the drive-thru and you pull out your chicken sandwich and you have this gigantic chicken breast that is sitting at it's like overflowing the bun, and it's 2.5 inches thick, and you're like, it's like hitting the jackpot. And then the next day you'll go through the drive-thru and you'll get it, and it's basically like they threw a nugget in between two pieces of bread. The inconsistency that you find from the original chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A is something that really infuriates me.
Okay, quick question.
Yes.
You a Chick-fil-A fan?
Of course.
I am too. Is it your favorite chicken sandwich?
It's the only chicken sandwich that I would.
My goodness.
That's interesting.
Where are we at in society?
I mean, I've tried
today?
other chicken sandwiches, but it doesn't really. It's Chick-fil-A.
So typically, here's my statement. I like Chick-fil-A a lot. I'm kind of give or take with them or Zaxby's. And I recently had Cane's, Raising Cane's or whatever, which I'm getting ready to have again on Friday. And I think Raising Cane's is better than Zaxby's, and I think Zaxby's might be better than Chick-fil-A. It'll be a little bit better than Chick-fil-A, or at least. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is like just when I usually eat nuggets, not sandwiches, but I do love a good chicken sandwich. But it's an interesting thing. I don't love Popeyes. Trying to drive around in my brain through town and think about restaurants, but yeah,
I'm typically a burger guy though. I mean, that's kind of where I will lean if I have the option. So yeah,
now you're going to start giving me the shakes because I'm going to start thinking about double doubles from In-N-Out,
and I've never had an In-N-Out burger.
Oh,
there's one. We're doing a road trip to Nashville when the one opens.
we are. We're going to do the show live from the In-N-Out burger in Nashville.
I would like to have a re-invite there.
You'll be invited.
I'm all in.
You there. Consider it in. Consider it invited. So, what's your favorite burger? And then we'll move back to the
my favorite burger is actually in Carolina Beach.
Okay,
there's a place called Island Burgers, and this place started in a gas station, literally on the island. And just this year, they bought an old Hardee's that was on the island and opened up a full sit-down restaurant. We were just there on vacation, and we ate there twice in a week because it's that burger. It's got that. I grilled it at home, but it's perfectly juicy.
Right on.
And any toppings you want, they don't upcharge for anything except for like grilled onions and grilled mushrooms, which just happen to be the two things I want on my burger. But, whatever, that's fine. I'll pay your $15.99 for my burger because it's got to be right. So, but they got like homemade potato buns. It's perfect. But
so let's do this. That's a great response to that question. Locally here in the
that was
Tri-Cities,
a deep cut.
Yeah.
We need something that maybe we can experience
locally here in the Tri-Cities. What's your favorite? Maybe what's your favorite? Like, oh, hey, if I was going to float into a restaurant and sit down, and if I had to hit a drive-through really quick, what's your two favorite burgers?
If I'm hitting a drive-through, it's going to be Pal's.
I would agree with that.
That's the best burger in the fast food world, in my opinion.
I like the Baconator from Wendy's.
And the Baconator is going to be next on that list. Absolutely. Sit down restaurant. Chili's makes some really good
I was
going
to say Chili's.
Chili's has been...
And it's cheaper than Pal's or Wendy's. If
Absolutely.
You get there, 3 for me. Yeah.
So my favorite in the area would be Blue Moose.
Oh, Blue Moose is
I've not had a burger there.
And if you go on Tuesdays, they have their American burger. It's like $7.99 burger and fries. And that is a great. And
I would say Five Guys, but you have to get a second mortgage to eat at Five Guys. So
I would have said Five Guys. And there's another place it's in the basement of the hotel there, right in front of the theater. Burger Bar. It's a really good burger.
It's good.
And used to it was so crazy expensive, but now, like you said, every burger is $15.
Absolutely.
And so, anyway,
hey, so I've got something that I've been dying to tell you. I almost FaceTimed you from the road to tell you this because I knew that it would excite you so much. So I was on vacation last week as well. We didn't record, 2 weeks ago, I guess. We didn't record because I was out of town that week.
Correct.
Took my bride to the beach. I was at the beach the same time as you. We were celebrating our anniversary for a couple of days. And on the way down, we stopped at your favorite place in the world, at Buc-ee's.
Love Buc-ee's.
Now, it's been well stated on the Pulpit and Porch podcast.
Is that in Conway?
It is in Florence.
Okay. Florence. I have not been to that one yet, so I love it. It's
been well established
love Buc-ee's.
That Robert Kell will drive 3 hours just to go spend 30 minutes in Buc-ee's and then drive right back.
We literally drove to the grand opening at Buc-ee's.
I'm not a huge fan
of grand opening
of the one in Sevierville.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of Buc-ee's. I think I'm not a huge fan, but we stopped at the one in Florence on our way through, and I got something at Buc-ee's that was so phenomenal that I would maybe go out of the way to stop and get it again.
Okay, I'm interested to hear.
And it fits right into what we've been talking about. In fact, I would put it.
Now I'm nervous because this has been a heavy topic.
There, maybe up, not that topic.
Sorry,
the start of our episode today.
Okay, my bad.
I got their chicken finger box.
Oh,
that has chicken fingers and fries.
Yeah,
their fries were so phenomenal that it was like I wanted to go back and get more.
So Brody,
their chicken was so good. Now you only got 3 chicken strips, but they were huge chicken strips.
Mm-hmm.
And it was $6.99. $6.99 for 3 chicken strips that were big chicken strips and some of the best fries that I've ever had.
That was an unbelievable thing for us because that chicken is made to where our son that has some dietary things, he can eat that. And so it's the one thing he can eat at Buc-ee's for a meal. And he doesn't always eat all the fries. And like, I will agree, they are very good French fries. They're incredibly good French fries.
Far surpasses their brisket and anything else that I've had there besides maybe their candied cashews and pecans.
And I've said this a million times. I love Buc-ee's. I love brisket. I love barbecue. People that go, that's the best brisket and barbecue I've ever had, they need to eat more brisket and barbecue.
Absolutely. Yes.
But like, as far as just if I'm talking about fast food drive-through, if I was showing up somewhere, like I would choose Buc-ee's over just about every fast food restaurant that I can think of. If I was just wanting a meat, like a burger or barbecue, something like that. If I was just driving through Powell's and Buc-ee's, and then I would put a Wendy's, like a bacon cheeseburger in there. Like in that, but like I would Hardee's, McDonald's, all those. Nah, I'm out. If I'm just talking about hitting a drive-through, walk in, walk out, go, it's not a chance that I'm stopping anywhere. That Buc-ee's would be top of the list as far as that goes. There you go.
There it is.
Andrew, thanks for investing in that conversation.
Absolutely.
And it's always fun with guests that, like, you know, you have a lot in common and you start to kind of get down this path and they're opinionated. They've done radio before, so they're used to working the mic, and it's always fun with those things. So that was a good conversation. We've either like really emotionally encouraged or torn down a whole bunch of television people. We have like either made or broke somebody's heart when it comes to fast food burgers and drive-throughs and things like that. And
I just want to say one more thing before we move on, because this came to me. We're talking about chicken, best chicken.
Oh, that chicken thing probably ruined somebody's life.
Yeah. So if you are ever in the vicinity, if you're anywhere that you might be traveling that's out of the norm, do a Google search for Dave's Hot Chicken. If you can find a Dave's Hot Chicken.
I literally just tried Dave's Hot Chicken on our vacation.
So good.
I don't think I got it hot enough.
Oh, yeah.
I was scared because you can choose heat.
Yeah.
And those situations can be tricky. Yeah. If you're not ready for it. So
and maybe
I got
situation,
like the light mild, or like it was like the third one on the list. And I literally just looked at Megan and went, we just need to go to Nashville and have some actual Nashville hot chicken. And then I'm like, maybe I messed up. Maybe I didn't get it hot enough, because it had the bread, it had the pickle. Everything was right, but it was just not enough sauce, not enough stickiness for me.
I'm very interested.
It's good.
Intrigued by that, because I think that it is phenomenal.
I mean, it was fresh. It was
so good,
but it was. I needed more. I needed more heat. I guess that was where I messed up. I think I messed my own.
Maybe
up.
Don't take my advice. Maybe
I'm not a big I don't like traditional like hot wings. I don't love the taste of traditional wing sauce. Now,
if you want to get into hot wings, we can go a whole episode there. That's a whole other world. I don't want my hot wings breaded. That's not.
No, we probably need to pull up shy of that, because there would be a whole lot of opinions there. Like the big one starts is our boneless wings, just adult chicken nuggets, and that's a starting place. And,
absolutely.
And I don't care. I'm fine with it. I think y'all are crazy for spending 3 hours to get a quarter ounce of meat off of a bone, and I've eaten 10 pounds of meat in the time you've gotten one little thing. Like, it's a lot of work, man, for food. I don't know. So,
all right. So last week we introduced you and everybody else to Andrew Carrier. We heard Andrew's story.
Transition, Tony. I like it.
We heard Andrew's story of resilience.
That's how you take over a podcast.
The last 2 years of cancer diagnosis, treatments, and all of that. And your story, I think just your story alone leaves everyone inspired. a little confused at how you were able to just show such strength and perseverance through hopefully the most trying thing that you ever have to go through in your life. And in listening to your story and the times that you would go do radiation treatment on your lunch break and then right back to work, the times that you would go get heavy chemo treatment and then be back to work in a day. And it's just, I've known several people that have gone through cancer treatments, and I've never, ever heard that from anyone. Today, we want to kind of dive into the lessons that you've learned and maybe the lessons that we can all learn through the lessons that you've learned. What can you impart on us and our listeners here that when we face trials and tribulations of many kinds, as scripture says, that we can have that perseverance of faith and that strength to continue to be the people that we need to be, the parents that we need to be, the spouses that we need to be, the employees and employers that we need to be, and how we can face life with such a resilience and such a silent strength that you showed, because you didn't just survive cancer, you showed up.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a victory that people don't talk about enough, that you didn't let it beat you down. You showed up and you kept going. You just were an inspiration to me, I think to Robert,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go out and say that to everyone who listened to this show last week. I want to talk a little bit about a metaphor that you've used, and you did a Facebook post a couple of weeks ago when you got your remission call that we talked about last week. And I shared that with Robert in preparation for this episode. And really the next few things that we're going to talk through really kind of base around that. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about the weed growing through the pole?
The weed through the pole.
Yeah.
All right. So on the way to our house in Bristol, if you're coming from town, there's this big right-hand turn, and there's 4 or 5 4-foot tall poles that I guess the city's installed there just to make you not run off the road. I don't know what they're for. I have no idea. But they look like a signpost type thing. And there's this weed. Every year this weed pops up. I've watched this weed for the 5+ years we lived in this house. I don't know why it always caught my attention. It's just as you enter this right-hand turn, it's right there, right beside the road. And it just intrigued me for some reason. And I would always just kind of casually go, oh, look, the weed's growing. And it never became a huge deal. And then for some reason, every year this weed grows, and it grows bigger, and it stands further out of this pole. And like this year, I think they actually trimmed it back for like that picture that I took and put on Facebook, because it was coming out of the bottom or the middle of this pole as well. And I didn't see that when we actually are sitting on the side of the road like a bunch of idiots trying to take a picture of a weed. My wife was the photographer. I'm like, get the picture of the weed. We got to move. But
give artistic credit.
Yeah, absolutely. But, and it just, for some reason, that weed grabbed my attention because something shouldn't grow through a pole. There's no sunlight. There's not adequate water. Things grow when they have the adequate ability around them to grow. But this weed keeps growing. And it just absolutely caught my attention. And like I said, I'd always paid attention to it, but I started relating to the weed. And that may be crazy. I may need an evaluation after this post. I don't really know, but the weed just keeps growing, and I just found myself in that view of, man, I'm growing, I'm changing, things are different, and dude, you just got to keep going.
I think it's such a great metaphor because weeds, let's be honest, weeds aren't glamorous.
No.
But weeds are relentless. and that's what resilience looks like, right? Maybe it's not glamorous.
It was never,
but it's relentless.
As you say that, it kind of dawns on me, we didn't even talk about the bad days, last week in the podcast. I mean, there's so many bad days that I could sit here and recall. I mean, the days that one of my, I think it was Emmett's birthday, my oldest, we're going to Gatlinburg and he wants to go walk and go to this car museum. And we start walking, and halfway there I stop and I'm like, I can't physically feel my legs. I physically can't because of the chemo treatments that I was on. And so that was right. That would have been about January because his birthday's in January. And, you know, I can't do this. And, you know, this has to stop at this point. And we have to reevaluate his entire birthday trip that we're here for, you know, because I can't go. So there were so many hard days that I guess you don't talk about.
But even in that, you were there. Absolutely. You were doing that. And I think we heard this over and over last week. And even when you're trying to talk about the hard days there and what you couldn't do, but you were there, you showed up. And I think that's the thing, is that most people slow down when life gets hard. A lot of people completely shut down when life gets hard. But you didn't. You didn't slow down. You didn't shut down. Maybe you slowed down from time to time, but you never shut down. Why was that important to you?
I wanted to keep a sense of normalcy in my life. And for me, I am a machine. As you've seen, I show up here earlier, 30 minutes earlier than what I'm supposed to be. I do that at work every day. I'm there an hour before the store opens. I don't need to be. I'm not required to be. It's just in my blood. So I am if I'm going to be here, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give you everything I got. And when I do that, you know, I keep the same thing. Okay, you want to go here for your birthday? Let's go do that. Let's figure that out. We'll make this work. And I didn't find it fair that I had cancer, but in that same respect, I didn't find it fair that we can't go do this because daddy has cancer, or we can't do this because your husband has cancer. That's not fair to anybody else around me either. You know, that normalcy is not what it used to be, and it never will be. You have to accept a new normal in anything you do. I mean, it's the end of, you know, I say the first 38 years went this way. I don't know what the next years will go because cancer got in the way, and it's okay. Now we're restarting, if you will. Let's find what our new normal is, and let's find our comfort in that new normal. But I wanted to try to keep life as normal, if you will, as it possibly could be.
So something you just said really hit me, that I'm wondering what both of your opinions are on this. Can you fake strength when life hits you hard, or is it something that either lives in you or doesn't?
I mean, I'll go first. I think what I would say, how I would answer that is this. I don't know that fake would be the word I would use, but I think in moments of weakness and struggle that you can show up and fight, like, even when you don't feel like it, even when you don't know that, like, what the outcome is going to be, even if you're going, man, I don't feel strong enough to do this today. And again, I think there's 1,000 Bible verses and a whole lot of worship songs and things that I want to quote and sing right now inside of that. But at the end of the day, I think that in our hardest moments, it is possible to show up with and maybe, like, not be the strong, like that what people would consider to be that strong fighter type of person, and that in that you grow into that person.
What are your thoughts on that? Can you fake strength?
I think some days you have to fake strength, especially in that kind of world. I mean, but at the same time, no, I think everybody has the strength in them, no matter any circumstance. The strength's there if you can dig down and find it. And in my case, I made it. I mean, it was just, I was too headstrong to let it go any other way. You know, were there days where I didn't want to be there? Absolutely. I mean, there were many days waking up going, I'm not in this today, but I got to go. So
there are times in life, and I have this conversation with people a lot in the role that I play,
is that a lot of times you have guys that are leaders, and they're leaders in their family, they're leaders in their homes, they're leaders in their jobs, that are going through really tough times, and they want to stay strong for the people around them. But at some point you have to acknowledge and deal with the emotions that are welling up inside of you. I can remember a conversation I had with you, and you were in the middle of going through everything. So it was probably a year and a half ago. And I was just like, took my breath away here that you were showing up with everything that you were going through. And you said something to me. You said that you wanted to be an example for your boys. So how did you balance being an example for your boys, staying strong for your wife? Because if you were a mess, she's probably going to be a mess. How did you balance that with, at the same time, having to deal with all of the fear and anxiety that had to be welling up inside of you?
I don't know that I've ever processed all of this fully. I mean, I'll just be completely 100% real. I laugh and say,
I can recommend a good therapist.
That's literally, and that's part of this journey. And I think that it's going to happen to fully break me out of what really just happened. I mean, luckily, I mean, there's always that stigma around therapist, yada, yada. I mean, but there shouldn't be. And because, and I mean, there's been days when I would even look at Megan and go, you have no clue what's going through my head. And she's like, well, tell me. And I'm like, you don't understand. I'm not physically capable of telling you what's going through my head. I'm just not, I've never been that person. I don't spring out emotions and throw them out there. And in fact, in preparing for these podcasts,
my wife and your wife are probably going to start a support group together when they hear this episode.
In preparation for this podcast, we went to some dear friend's house right after me and you had talked about me coming on here. And they have been with me through this whole journey. And Josh, the husband, he looked at me at dinner and he goes, it was hard to know how to help you through this journey. He's like, as friends, we wanted to help you. He said, but every time we asked, you're just like, I'm good. I'm fine. Everything's going to be okay. We're getting through this. He said, and you would laugh and you would make jokes about it. He said, and it was hard for us to process that. And you don't think about, I guess yes, I'm the one in the fight, but you really, I've probably messed up in the fact that I didn't take the time to look at those close to me and say, how are they handling this? And how can I be more transparent to them, to anybody? When my ultimate immediate thing is fix it. Let's just fix it. Let's head down straight into it. Let's fix it and let's move on. And I'll probably have to process it all one day, but I don't know that today's that day.
You can't fully even answer this yet, but what did you learn through this process? What did you learn about strength, and not just physical strength, but emotional strength, spiritual strength? What did you learn about yourself through this last journey?
I've learned a lot about myself in the way I handle a lot, the way I handle interactions. One of the greatest lessons that I learned is humility. Just literally and sitting in a room that is 3-sided, if you will, with 6 people on each wall getting different cancer treatments, and we're all getting different chemos, and we're all processing the fact that when the nurse comes to give you chemo, they put on a massive robe and a face mask and gloves up to their elbows just to handle an IV bag that they're getting ready to just inject into me. And I'm just sitting here hanging out. It's going into my veins, but they don't even want to touch it. They don't want to risk touching it. It's so much to process in that room, and so many people on different parts of that journey. And the humility. I mean, it's just, I can look at anybody now in this world and go, man, I don't know what they're doing. Just like they didn't know that I was going through cancer treatments. I mean, there's days that customers would come in and that were regular customers, and I was just off. I wasn't there. I mean, I wasn't the normal person, and they just be like, what's wrong? Why you're not laughing, you're not cutting up, you're not anything. And I'm just like, I'm just not feeling it today. And, I still wouldn't necessarily deep dive into my journey, but I would, just be like, man, I'm just not all here today. And just the humility of that, just the realness that sometimes I'm just not going to be right. And sometimes it's not going to be everything I got, and it's hard to accept in a way, but I mean, but I don't know your struggles. I don't know Robert's struggles. I don't know anybody's struggles, and the only thing I can do is just try to give joy to each and every person. I mean, just try to understand, hey, we've all got our own worlds. That's where we're fighting from.
I want to talk a little bit about your time as the manager of Tire Barn. That you're in a leadership role there. You've got several people that you manage. You run an entire store. But I think that your leadership there goes way beyond what you do with tires and oil changes. What's your philosophy on leading people well?
When I became a leader, I didn't want to be the my way or the highway type leader. I mean, I had worked for many of those leaders in life, as I think we all have. So obviously we're in a corporate world, there's certain parameters we have to meet. And that's the story of my life. That is what it is. But as a leader, I mean, once again, the humility, I tell you what, it was a lot harder for my guys to call into work when I'm going to cancer treatments every single day. They call in and I'm like, oh, really? Your stomach hurts? I think you'll be all right. Come on into work, but
yeah, sometimes the greatest leadership is just showing up with integrity when nobody else would blame you for staying home.
Sure. And I mean, and that was, in my philosophy, I treat it as if it's my store. You would think it says Andrew Carrier Tire on the wall. And I run it that way because I feel that if I'm going to be an effective leader, this is my house and this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to make this work. And in that instance, we're going to follow all these guidelines, but we're going to do it our own way, and as a leader, I mean, I think that they need to know that I can be right back there in the back, sweeping up the shop while they're putting on tires, or I can be right beside them putting on tires, or I can be up front sitting in my office doing nothing, but I'm the manager and I can. But lead from the back, I guess, is kind of the way that I would describe that is, I'm not afraid to go do anything and everything that there is to do in this store if I need to, and that's just, I feel like that's the best way that I could lead is to be on their level without, and there's a line there. I feel I made that mistake early in management of crossing that line of being too friendly, too buddy. I mean, there has to be a line of boss versus not boss, but it's a little tricky. I mean, it's still, I feel lead from the back is my mentality on it of I'm going to be right there with you pushing for whatever we got to get done. And that's how we're going to approach it.
Yeah. I've spent a lot of time in your store. I've given you a lot of my money.
You got a lot of cars that you got to deal with.
A lot of cars and a lot of kids that drive those cars. And man, I've spent way more time in your store than I would like to. and most of the time when I'm in your store, I'm just antagonizing you the whole time. I'm sitting up at the counter, but every once in a while when I'm in there, you're busy. And so I'll go sit down in the little waiting area. And I'm always amazed in watching the way that you interact with every single person who walks in your door, the way that you interact with all of your employees. And the thing that always hits me is that people don't remember policy. People remember character. And I think long after you're gone from Tire Barn, the people that you've worked with there, the people that you've managed there, they're not going to remember you for the policies that you put in place. They're going to remember you for the way that you showed up every day, the way that you treated them, the way that you interacted with the customers. And I think that it just goes to show that ministry can happen every single day in tire shops. Ministry can happen in offices. Ministry can happen in kitchens. Ministry can happen in farms and fields. The presence of Jesus isn't limited to Sunday mornings. And that's something that I think that you exhibit every single day in your shop.
Absolutely. And me and you have had many a good conversations biblically right there in that store. Couple of other regular customers of mine are also ministers. And one of them, love his heart. The second he comes in, I literally tell him, I'm like, I might as well just walk out of the next 2 hours of my life, because we're going to stand here and we're going to talk about everything in life, and we're going to talk about God, and it's going to be uplifting and it's going to be amazing, but I'm going to get nothing done that I absolutely need to get done. But, stop though. I mean, and that's one of his favorite sayings is, tell me God can't. And he strives to look for that every day. He's like, just tell me God can't. And, those words, especially during cancer treatments, I mean, I would hear him and he would come in and he's got my personal number just like you do. And only a few customers have that. I promise that's not an everybody thing. Okay. But, and just once every 2 weeks now, he'll still just text me, hey brother, how you doing? Is everything okay? How are you and the family? And it's a quick response. It's me responding back and him, me asking, we're good. How are you? And that's it. That's the conversation. But you don't know what that means. And you did that a couple of times. How are you going through treatments and stuff like that? You don't realize the touch that you make on people or that they make on you until it just kind of shows up. I mean, it's just there. And nobody wants to be at a tire store. Okay. You don't want to walk in and give me $700, $1,000 of your money. You just don't want to. I get it. Nobody wants their car to have to be stopped. But that's kind of always been my philosophy is I know you don't want to be here, but I'm going to get you to smile. I'm going to get you to laugh. At least for a minute, you're going to forget that I'm getting ready to take $1,000 of your money to make your car work again. I mean, but it's just that interaction. And I guess that's a problem because I look for that interaction anywhere I go as well. I mean, in anything that I do, I'm just like, man, just interact with me, act like I exist, and that's every customer is treated that exact way of, hey, how you doing? I mean, I know so many people, I can't go anywhere in this town without, going to Walmart and somebody going, oh, hey buddy. Hey, oh, I'm good. And my wife will be like, who's that? I'm like, I don't know. I couldn't tell you their name, but I've obviously done something for them over the years, but it's just that interaction, that you don't realize lasts with people as you just trying to make you happy.
So on that note, how do you continue to show up with joy each and every day, even when you don't feel like it?
I woke up this morning. The Lord gave me the day. I mean, I'm above ground, and I know that we've all heard that growing up in the South. Of, well, I'm above ground, so it could be worse. But okay, I'm here, so let's go see where we can find the day. I mean, what's it going to last? Because I'm awake and I'm able to go hug my kids and kiss my wife and start my day. And that's the only way that it needs to be. I mean, that's. If I'm here, I'm going to give somebody something that I can. I mean, if it's possible to just make you smile or make you laugh, if you want to have a serious conversation, okay, let's stop and talk. I mean, I'm not going to stop anything from happening as far as that goes.
How much better would our world be if everyone had that same mindset?
Can't even imagine.
Hey, we're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to do something fun, lighten things up a little bit.
At Higher Ministries, they believe strong leaders build strong ministries. That's why they're committed to empowering pastors and ministry leaders with the tools they need to succeed. Whether you're navigating challenges or looking to expand your impact, their team can guide you every step of the way. Check out higherministries.com and discover how they can support your ministry journey.
All right, so now we're going to do one of our favorite news segments here on the Pulpit and Porch, a segment we affectionately refer to as
Truth or Trash. I don't know how I said it last time. Sorry. Truth or trash. Is it like you give you the whole seat, but you just need the edge? I don't know. It's something along those lines. I don't remember.
So we are doing Truth or Trash.
Yes,
again.
we are.
And in honor of our guest, Andrew Carrier, we are doing Resilient or Ridiculous edition of Truth or Trash. So we're going to throw out some hot takes. We're going to throw out some real life examples here. And you guys are just simply going to tell me, are they resilient or are they just ridiculous? There's a fine line, okay? There's a fine line between inspiring and insane. And the next few minutes, we're going to walk that tightrope. You ready for this?
Ready.
Here we go. Running an ultra marathon with a broken toe, resilient or ridiculous?
Resilient.
I would say ridiculous.
I just read a book by a guy, David Goggins, who's a former Navy SEAL, and
is just, I think he's ridiculous that he ran an ultra marathon with a broken toe. And that's insane. All right. Working every single day during your cancer treatment, resilient or ridiculous?
I feel personally attacked.
Based on the responses, you might feel more attacked here in a minute.
Both.
Oh, I would totally say resilient.
Resilient. I go resilient. Absolutely. Very resilient, very inspiring. Posting every meal on Instagram is part of your wellness journey. Resilient or ridiculous?
Ridiculous, unless I'm invited to the cookout. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not ridiculous.
I would say ridiculous as well. Quitting caffeine cold turkey the Monday after daylight savings.
Why quit caffeine?
I guess I don't understand the day. I don't. Maybe I'm missing something. Is there a joke there that I'm supposed to catch on to?
Because you lose an hour of sleep.
Oh,
and so why would you quit caffeine that day? Man, that one just
I just sorry
that didn't go. Maybe you need a little bit more caffeine.
I only got one cup of coffee today, so maybe I do.
Staying at the job you hate for 20 years to provide for your family. Resilient or ridiculous?
I'd say resilient.
Inner struggle on my own. So I don't know. We're going to go both.
Taking your kids to Disney World in July on purpose.
Ridiculous.
Wise? Because it's cheaper?
It's not cheaper, and it's like 7,000 degrees outside.
But there's less people there.
In July? There's not less people there in July.
November is pretty nice in Florida. I'm just saying.
November, January,
Yeah,
February.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the only time I want to go to Disney World. In July, I think that there's mental insanity if that's you. Refusing to use your GPS because you know a shortcut. Resilient or ridiculous?
Ask my wife. That's resilient.
I would say ridiculous, but I'm a stop and get directions guy.
Yeah, I would say resilient as well. Doing chemotherapy or radiation treatment on your lunch break and then going back to work. Resilient or ridiculous?
Man, I'm just going to leave. Y'all crazy up in here.
He wrote this episode. Don't we this thing. This is all him.
It's both. It's both.
I'm going to agree with his statement just because he's got the experience.
My initial thought is that's completely ridiculous. But after hearing his story, I'm going to say, well, there is there is a level of ridiculousness to that. But at the same time, it's very resilient as well.
It's both. I mean,
I'm agreeing with him. He's been through it.
And that is...
something in trash. Truth or trash. There we go. Truth or trash. I don't know. We need to create a bumper for that because I don't remember how I said it. It's been like a month. It's terrible. I don't even remember that. I'm so sorry.
So disappointed right now.
Today.
You had one job.
I feel like
do you have the internal radio voice? Do you have the truth or trash?
A little bit, but like not like you. So we should just get him to record a bumper for us before we leave today, and then we can moving forward be better.
Andrew, now we're going to try to go from that back into something a little bit more serious here.
Get some Kenny G music going, kind of calm the mood here, bring it in.
How do you think that the last 2 years have shaped your character?
It's tough. It taught me I'm not bulletproof. So I think I would assume that's probably every male type typical attitude, if you will, in this world to a certain extent, to a certain age, even that, okay, maybe I need to pay attention a little bit more. Maybe I need to, it's slowed me down. It's absolutely made me see more of what's even just around me, the weed. It slowed me down. It's not, it's shaped my character in the fact of I'm not going to take it for granted anymore. I'm not going to rush through it. I'm not going to fly through it. Yeah, I mean, and it's tough. Maybe I need to shake it out with a therapist to find out how it has fully fixed my, changed my character. But, my core values have never changed, so that you can't shake what's already set in stone. But it can the little things in life seem a lot more important than they used to. I mean, it's not in a bad way, not in like the bad little things, but the good little things. I'll just find myself kind of sitting back and just taking it in and kind of grinning. And, it's slowed me down. That's the number one thing it did, is slow me down.
I think that you didn't just fight cancer, but you redefined what it means to fight with joy. And that's something that I've really taken away from your story. I know that Robert has some things going on in his life right now that are really tough. I've got some things going on in life that are difficult. The statistics are going to say that out of our listeners, that there are people out there that are struggling right now in life, that they have things going on that are scary. They have things going on that are painful. Maybe they're not facing a stage 3 cancer diagnosis, but there are things in life that are hard. What advice would you give to someone who's listening, who's in the middle of a hard season right now?
I mean, number one advice is show up where you can, show up how you can. As I said, sitting in that cancer room, not everybody was. I was a fortunate one. I was able to drive myself to cancer treatments, get my 4-hour chemo, and drive myself home. There's a lot of people that depend on rides, and they physically can't. But show up where you can. If you're not capable of going to work every day, if you're not capable of whatever it may be, and not, like you said, not just cancer, so many things. If you're scared of something, if you're anxiety ridden, if you're whatever it may be, show up anywhere you can. Find that moment where you can just step into it and be like, I can control this. I can make this right here, right now. And it may not even be related. I mean, obviously I couldn't just fix cancer, but in my head, if I can go to work today, or me and the family can go to a movie tonight, or we can eat that dinner. That's great. And it's the little victories that end up shaping your character into, okay, we're going to win this whole battle, because if I can win this little battle, if I can do this, why can't I do this? That's the only way I see forward. I mean,
and healing isn't always the end of the battle, right?
No,
it's sometimes just a new chapter of faith.
Exactly. Faith was obviously the leader in this. I mean, as I said last episode, it's, so many sleepless nights and so much just yelling, just mad, just angry. But, it's always been faith that kind of pulls me through. And I mean, you go through it, and that's what I was telling you guys before we started the episode. The notebook that I wrote notes in was meant to be my cancer notebook that my beautiful bride bought for me and wanted me to take notes through cancer treatment and just kind of how I was and how I was feeling. And I didn't. But that being said, I took notes for these episodes in this. And one page over, she had just gone through here in random pages. I went and found them all and dog-eared them now. But she had just literally wrote one page over from where this ended was 2 Corinthians 12:9. My grace is all you need, for my power is the greatest when you are weak. And wow, tell me that doesn't hit home. And, tell me it's something that it's absolutely something we live by during all the treatments, but it won't, it doesn't end after just the treatments and after healing and you're over, you're cancer free, but there's so much anxiety that still comes along with every 6 months. I'll have to go through scans. What if something pops up there? And then what do we do now? Are we going to have to be right back in this boat in a year and right back to treating again? But live for the day. I mean, today I'm good. We're ready. Let's go.
Well, and I think something that you'll never know all the things, and this is one that you'll get to hear because we're sitting here. But Mel and I, my wife and I, are got a call praying for some friends and some real opportunity for some joy and some real nervousness of some potential heartbreak. And there's just a lot of tension and things. And inside of this, it's just one of those moments of like wanting to pass along these encouragements. And so, Ephesians, to the God who is able to do immeasurably more than we can ever imagine. You grab these things and you push these thoughts and you share these ideas, because at the end of the day, it's super easy to share scripture. And honestly, that verse that your wife wrote just hadn't crossed my brain. And in that space, as soon as you said it, I went into my phone and I went to YouVersion and I tapped on those verses and I shared them to my wife. And I was like, hey, and it's just, and so like in those spaces and moments, it's like you said this earlier, there's no clue and that I'm aware of. I'm not fighting cancer. I don't have any crazy illness that I'm aware of in this moment, but people always have things going on, or they have someone that they're investing in or caring for, or they know someone who's going through something, and you just never know when your story is going to match the pace of the story you're walking alongside in a moment that you had no clue. And I think that for me is the thing when I listen to what you're saying that has just been so impactful, that you're just sharing these thoughts and sharing these, whether it's been a scripture verse, whether it's a quote that you heard, or something that was just deep in your heart, or the way your children and your spouse approached you, or friends, you've just shared those things so freely. And I just don't think you have the full understanding of how much of an impact that it made today, and it's going to make as you serve, at a tire store, and as you continue to take steps towards just what the next phases of life and things look like. And so, I know we're not done with the episode. I just want to say thanks though, because those things, what you're doing now is already making an impact. And even though you and I really only met, just your story is really making a monstrous impact on people's lives, mine included. So thank you.
I've never liked the bumper sticker statement, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." I just don't think that's true.
But then Kelly Clarkson made it a song, and you have to love it now, don't you?
I don't. No, I don't. I don't think that suffering always makes you stronger.
You don't think you just stand a little taller?
I don't think so.
It doesn't mean you're lonely, not alone, like lonely, and you're not alone.
Just sing it for us, man. I don't think that suffering always makes you stronger, but I think it makes you deeper. I think that it changes your perspective. And so I'm just wondering, how do you, if you had 30 seconds to talk to our listeners and say something to them, to encourage them, encourage someone who maybe is feeling down, is feeling discouraged, is losing hope, what would you say to them?
The thing that's got me through it all is you have a purpose. That what you're going through, you have to dig a little deeper, but you're going to find that there is an answer to why we're doing this. There will be something. I referenced knowing that my mother passed away for a reason at that point. It closed that chapter. It was able to close that chapter just like that. And now my purpose, I don't know what my purpose is, but that's part of the adventure. Let's find out what my purpose is. Maybe my purpose is to tell this story. Maybe my purpose, it's definitely part of my purpose to be here today. Everybody has a purpose. If you dig deep and find it, if you pray about it, if you search for it, the door will open. I don't know where it will open, and I don't know how many doors are going to have to close behind us in order to open this door, but there's something there, and there's a reason you're on this, and there's a reason you're in this struggle, and there's a reason you're in this battle, and you just got to find that greater good in it. You have to find the greater good in it for the day.
You said in your Facebook post about the weed that we're all like that weed.
Yes.
I think it's interesting that some people only grow when conditions are perfect, but you got other people like that weed that will find a way no matter what conditions are like.
Absolutely.
No matter what they're faced with, no matter what they're hit with. What do you hope that people take away from your story?
Just that. I mean, really, that analogy was the best way I could lay this story out in my head. I mean, it is, no matter what burdens lay on us, and we all have burdens laying on us, from very tiny to huge. There's always something that's going to if we allow it, it's going to stop us. It's going to weigh us down. And you just have to push through every bit of that. I mean, we're all put here for a purpose, and it's our calling to find out what that purpose is and to fulfill that purpose, to fulfill that need in the kingdom. But here on earth, I mean, not looking at even the Christian perspective of it, just, I may pull out of here today and there's somebody that has a flat tire. Well, I know a guy. I mean, there's
we know a guy too.
Yeah.
You got a flat tire. Yeah.
There's always a perspective that, we all have this greater thing that we're going for, and you can grow through anything, whatever the burdens are. You can shelter them, throw them out. I mean, if that we can grow through a pole with very little sun and very little water, why can't I do this? XYZ, whatever it may be.
You could have quit. You could have felt sorry for yourself. You could have blamed God for what you were going through. You could have gone quietly, but you chose, like that weed, you chose to grow through it. And I think that's the story that people need to hear, is that regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your environment, like that weed, you can choose to grow, or you can choose to be suffocated out and die. I hope that everybody listening today remembers that faith isn't always loud. Faith doesn't always roar, that sometimes it simply just looks like showing up one hard day at a time. Robert, you got any other final thoughts?
I think for me, the thing kind of just as I just reflect in and think about that is your boys and your wife and so many people in your life are, and I just think about your boys in particular, because I'm raising 3 boys. And I remember sitting in a job interview a decade or more ago now, and the guy just said, "What's your greatest fear?" And I said that I won't leave a legacy, that I won't like outperform like the way that I need to put my boys down a path that they'll be the men of God that they need to be, that they'll love and lead in the way that they should. And I just think about what a great model you've been for your boys. And in that space, I feel like you would have some of that same sentiment of wanting to leave a legacy, that your boys are men who fight well, who love well, who move through this world in a way that they make a difference for the kingdom. And I think that for me, that was just a real encouragement and something that has challenged me, and I hope is challenging those who listen, is like, hey, just because maybe, hopefully that I and those listening don't have to get cancer to get to the point of this.
Absolutely.
Can we take that encouragement and go, you know what? I'm maybe being a little whiny. Maybe I just need to step up. Maybe I need to find some strength. Maybe I need to reach down and just, I can parent my kids and love my kids well, even though they're not 9 and 7, or, they're not this or this. I mean, I can do those things. And by the way, I mean, I spend a lot of time with my kids. I mean, but we always want to parent better, but I just think that's been really encouraging to me. And I hope that's been something that has stuck out to and inspired those that are listening today as well. The leadership stuff is just so good inside of that thought to me.
Andrew, you got a few hundred people listening to your story these last couple of weeks. In closing, is there anything that you would like to say to them that you haven't already said?
For listening, I didn't cry, so I did good. That was the bet of my wife, that I would start breaking this thing down and that I would stop. So I didn't. But
maybe she can freeze dry you one of those burgers and bring it back.
There you go.
Now.
There you go.
So that's the over-under bet.
But yeah, I mean, it's there's fight in us all. I mean, and that's what I've truly, that's what I've learned. Even as weak as you can be, there's still fight there.
Well, we do want to thank you for listening to this edition of the Pulpit and Porch podcast. And we really want to thank our friend Andrew Carrier for joining us these past couple of weeks. And we say it every week that we want you, wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, to like our show, subscribe to our show, and share our show with your friends. But I think maybe more than ever before, we want to say these last couple of episodes, if you know someone that could benefit from hearing Andrew's story, why not share this episode with them so that they can learn and grow from his remarkable resilience
resilience, his remarkable character and integrity that he's shown through his fight and is continuing to show to everyone that he comes in contact with, including his family and us here on the Pulpit and Porch. We do want to thank you again for listening, for taking time out of your day to tune in, and we invite you to join us again next week for another edition of the Pulpit and Porch podcast. Have a great rest of your week.